7 Secrets from the World's Oldest People. What to adopt now after 60. You know, I've always wondered, what's the secret to not just living a long life, but vibrant one? The kind where you wake up feeling like there's still so much to laugh about, to learn, to savor. Maybe you've asked yourself that too. Like, why do some folks in their 90s still dance at family weddings, tend their gardens, or even run marathons, while others struggle to get through the day? Well, I did a little digging. Turns out, the world's oldest people have a few things in common. And the best part? These aren't complicated rituals or expensive habits. They're simple, timeless choices anyone can start making today. Let me tell you about Giovanni. He's 104 years old, lives in a tiny village in Sardinia, and still splits firewood every morning. When researchers asked him his secret, he shrugged and said, "I eat what my land gives me, and I never stop moving." Sounds almost too straightforward, doesn't it? But there's wisdom there. Over the years, I've talked to doctors, read studies on blue zones, where people live the longest, and listened to stories from centenarians themselves. And you know what? The more I learned, the more I realized these secrets aren't really secrets at all. They're choices. Small, daily decisions that add up to a lifetime of strength and joy. So today, let's explore the first 2 habits that Giovanni and others like him swear by. And don't worry, this isn't about overhauling your life overnight. It's about finding little ways to weave these ideas into your routine, in a way that feels good and sustainable. First up, eat like the seasons at your grocery store. Now, I know what you're thinking, another diet tip? But stick with me. This isn't about counting calories or cutting out your favorite foods. It's about reconnecting with how humans have eaten for thousands of years. In places like Okinawa, Japan, or Ikaria, Greece, people don't chase fads. They eat what's fresh, local, and in season. Think ripe tomatoes in summer, squash in autumn, hardy greens in winter. It's not just about nutrition, though that's a big part. It's about rhythm. Eating with the seasons keeps meals varied, colorful, and full of the nutrients your body craves at different times of year. Take Maria, a 97-year-old from Nicaragua. She still cooks every meal from scratch, using vegetables from her son's garden. Her recipe for longevity? A little bit of everything, but nothing from a box. She laughs when she says it, but there's truth there. Processed foods, even the healthy ones, often strip away fiber and nutrients while adding preservatives. But when you focus on whole, seasonal foods, you're giving your body fuel that's easy to digest and packed with energy. And here's the good news. You don't need a farm or a fancy farmer's market. Start small. Next time you're at the store, pick up one in-season fruit or vegetable you haven't tried in a while. Maybe some beets or a bunch of kale. Roast them with olive oil and garlic. Simple, satisfying, and a step toward that centenarian mindset. Now, the second habit. Move with your body, not against it. Notice I didn't say exercise. That word can feel intimidating, like you need to join a gym or follow a punishing routine. But the longest-lived people don't work out in the way we think of it. Instead, they move naturally all day long. Gardening, walking to the market, kneading bread dough, even hanging laundry on the line. It's about staying in motion without stressing the joints or the spirit. My friend Harold, who's 82, put it perfectly. I don't lift weights, I lift grandkids. He stays active by babysitting his great-granddaughter twice a week, taking her to the park, and even crawling around on the floor with her. It keeps his muscles engaged, his heart strong, and his mood light. The key here is to find movement that feels purposeful and joyful. Maybe it's a daily stroll around the neighborhood, tending to houseplants, or even swaying to old Motown records while you fold laundry. The goal isn't to break a sweat. It's to keep your body in dialogue with the world around you. And here's a pro tip from the experts. Break up long stretches of sitting. A study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that seniors who got up and moved for just 3 minutes every hour had better circulation, sharper focus, and even improved mood. So set a gentle alarm on your phone, or tie movement to daily tasks. Stand and stretch during TV commercials. Do calf raises while brushing your teeth. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. By now, you might be noticing a pattern. These secrets, aren't about adding more to your plate. They're about returning to the basics, the rhythms of nature, the joy of movement, the pleasure of a home-cooked meal. And the best part? None of this requires perfection. Miss a day? No problem. Start again tomorrow. As we wrap up this first part, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. What's one small, seasonal food you could add to your next meal? And what's a movement that feels less like a chore and more like a gift to your body? Try one of those this week and see how it feels. Because here's the thing, Giovanni, Maria, Harold, they didn't wake up one day and decide to live to 100. They simply lived in ways that made each day nourishing, active, and connected. And that's a choice we can all make, right here, right now. Now, let's keep this conversation going. In the next part, we'll explore 2 more habits that go hand in hand with what we've talked about today. Habits that revolve around community, purpose, and the kind of laughter that makes your ribs ache. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. You know, there's a saying in Okinawa, moai. It doesn't translate perfectly, but roughly, it means meeting for a common purpose. For generations, people that have gathered in small groups, friends, neighbors, family, not just to share meals or stories, but to share life. They laugh together, support each other through hard times, and celebrate the tiny joys of everyday living. When I asked 101-year-old Fumiko about her moai, she grinned and said, "We've been meeting every Thursday for 70 years, rain or shine, even when we're annoyed with each other." And then she winked. But mostly, we laugh until we cry. That brings us to our third secret. Your tribe matters more than you think. Now, I'm not talking about your DNA or your distant relatives. I'm talking about the people who make you feel seen, the ones who remember how you take your tea, or who'll drop everything to sit with you on a tough day. Researchers have found that strong social connections can add years to your life. In fact, a Harvard study spanning 85 years revealed that close relationships are the single biggest predictor of long-term happiness and health, even more than genetics or wealth. But here's the catch. It's not about the number of friends you have. It's about the depth. Take Leo, a 94-year-old from Costa Rica. Every morning, he walks to the same bench in the town square. Sometimes he chats with the barber. Other days, he plays chess with a teenager who reminds him of his grandson. "I don't need a crowd," he told me. "I just need to know someone's expecting me." That sense of being counted on, it's powerful. Loneliness, on the other hand, can chip away at your health. It's linked to higher risks of heart disease, dementia, and even weakened immunity. But the solution isn't complicated. Start small. Call an old friend while you're folding laundry. Join a book club at the library. Or if leaving the house feels tough, invite a neighbor over for coffee and toast. The goal isn't to be the life of the party. It's to weave little threads of connection into your week. And here's a tip from the Blue Zones. Make it regular. Whether it's a weekly card game, a monthly potluck, or even a daily wave to the mail carrier, rituals build belonging. My Aunt Ruth used to host soup Sundays for anyone who showed up. No RSVP needed. Some weeks, 15 people crammed into her kitchen. Other times, it was just her and the retired postman. But it didn't matter. The soup was just an excuse, she'd say. The real recipe was the company. Now, let's talk about the fourth secret. Have a why that gets you out of bed. Viktor Frankl, the psychologist and Holocaust survivor, wrote that those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow. And guess what? The world's oldest people live this every day. It's not about grand missions or changing the world, though that's fine too. It's about having something that makes you feel useful, curious, or excited to greet the morning. Meet Hilda, a 98-year-old from Norway. After her husband passed, she could have shrunk into grief. Instead, she started knitting hats for premature babies at the local hospital. "At first, it was just to keep my hands busy," she said. "But then I held one of those tiny babies, wearing my little blue cap. Well, now I've knit over 3,000. Her eyes twinkled. "They call me the Nordic grandma down there." Hilda's why isn't just altruism, it's structure. It gives her days rhythm and her heart a reason to keep beating. But purpose doesn't have to be philanthropic. Maybe yours is tending roses, learning to paint, or teaching your great-grandkids how to bake your famous pie. The key is to find something that matters to you. Studies show that seniors with a strong sense of purpose have lower rates of Alzheimer's, better sleep, and even slower cellular aging. So ask yourself, what makes me lose track of time? What did I love doing as a kid that I've set aside? And here's the beautiful part. Your why can evolve. My neighbor, Walt, spent 40 years as a mechanic. At 75, he thought his best days were behind him. Then his grandson asked him to help restore a vintage car. Now, he runs a free workshop at the community center, teaching teens how to fix engines. Turns out, I'm not just good with cars, he said. I'm good with kids who need someone to believe in them. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But what if I don't have a passion like that? Start with curiosity. Try something new, even if it's just for 10 minutes a day. Listen to a podcast about astronomy. Plant herbs in a windowsill pot. Write down family stories for your grandkids. Purpose isn't a destination, it's a path you build step by step. As we move forward, keep this in mind. Giovanni's seasonal eating and Maria's joyful movement set the foundation. But Fumiko's laughter-filled Thursdays and Hilda's knitting needles, they're the heartbeat. Together, these habits create a life that's not just long, but rich. And speaking of richness, wait until we explore the next two secrets. They're all about slowing down in a world that's always rushing and discovering the hidden power of doing less. But that's a story for next time. For now, why not reach out to someone who'd love to hear your voice? Or jot down one tiny thing you've always wanted to try. Remember, it's never too late to knit a cap, fix a car, or laugh until your sides ache. Let's keep this journey going. The best is yet to come. You've probably heard the phrase, slow down to speed up. It sounds like one of those riddles your grandkids might roll their eyes at, right? But here's the twist. The world's oldest people have been living this idea for centuries. They understand something we often forget, that rest isn't laziness, and stillness isn't stagnation. In fact, it's in those quiet moments that the body repairs, the mind refreshes, and the soul catches up. Let's dive into the fifth secret. Rest as deeply as you move. Now, I'm not just talking about sleep, though that's part of it. In places like Ikaria, Greece, known as the island where people forget to die, afternoon naps are a sacred ritual. They call it Masimari. Shops close, streets quiet down, and everyone, from toddlers to great-grandparents, settles into a slow, restorative pause. Scientists have found that regular napping, just 20 to 30 minutes, can lower stress hormones, boost heart health, and even sharpen memory. But here's the key. It's not about the nap itself. It's about giving yourself permission to stop. Take Rosa, a 102-year-old from Puerto Rico. Every day after lunch, she sits in her rocking chair by the window, closes her eyes, and listens to the coqui frogs sing. I don't always sleep, she says, but I let my bones breathe. She's onto something. Modern life bombards us with noise, literal and figurative. But Rosa's daily pause is her armor against burnout. It's how she's outlived 3 of her doctors. Now, maybe napping isn't your style. That's okay. The point is to build moments of intentional stillness into your day. Try sipping your morning coffee without the TV on. Sit on the porch and watch the birds for 10 minutes. Or simply close your eyes and take 5 deep breaths before starting a task. These micropauses act like reset buttons for your nervous system. And if guilt creeps in, I should be doing something productive. Remember, rest isn't wasted time. It's the invisible thread that holds your energy together. Now, here's the sixth secret, one that might surprise you. Worry less about adding years to your life, and more about adding life to your years. Centenarians aren't obsessed with longevity. They're too busy living. In Okinawa, there's no word for retirement. Instead, they have ikigai, a reason to jump out of bed. But it's more than purpose, it's a lightness of spirit. They laugh often, forgive quickly, and savor small pleasures without rushing past them. Consider Miguel, a 99-year-old fisherman in Costa Rica. He still takes his boat out at sunrise, not because he needs the money, but because he loves the smell of salt water and the thrill of the catch. When asked if he fears storms, he chuckles. The sea gives, the sea takes. Worrying won't change the tide. That's not naivety, it's wisdom. Chronic stress, as you might know, is like pouring gasoline on the fire of aging. It shortens telomeres, those protective caps on your DNA, weakens immunity, and clouds thinking. But Miguel's secret? He doesn't fight the waves. He rides them. So how do we cultivate that calm? Start by reframing problems. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? A year? Most of what we fret about won't. And for the things that do, health scares, family struggles, focus on what you can control. Make the call to the doctor. Write the letter to mend fences. Then, let go of the rest. And here's a trick from the happiest seniors I've met. End the day with gratitude. Not a journal or a checklist. Just a quiet moment to name one good thing. The way the light hit your favorite vase. The grandkid who called just because. The fact that your knees let you walk to the mailbox. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to spot joy instead of dread. By now, you've probably noticed a theme. Longevity isn't a checklist. It's a dance between movement and rest, connection and solitude, effort and surrender. Giovanni's firewood chopping mornings and Rosa's frog song siestas. Miguel's salty sunrises and Hilda's knitting needles. These aren't rigid rules. They're rhythms. As we near the end of our journey together, I want you to think about this. What's one tiny, joyful pause you could build into your day? And what's a worry you're ready to toss overboard, like Miguel's storm fears? Try one. Just one. Because here's the truth. Nobody on their deathbed ever says, I wish I'd hurried more. They talk about laughter, love, and the moments they let themselves be. In our final part, we'll explore the seventh secret, the one that ties all these habits together. It's about legacy, but not in the way you might think. And trust me, it's the perfect note to end on. Until then, why not treat yourself to a guilt-free pause? Put your feet up, watch the clouds, and let your bones breathe. You've earned it. There's a story I love about a 107-year-old woman named Lilia from the mountains of Ecuador. When her great-granddaughter asked her the secret to a long life, Lilia paused, then pointed to an old, gnarled tree outside her window. See that tree? She said. It's bent by wind, scarred by lightning, and its roots are half out of the ground. But every spring it blooms. Not because it's perfect, because it's still here. She smiled. That's the only secret left. And that brings us to our seventh and final habit. Embrace the cracks. Now, that might sound strange after all we've talked about. Eating well, moving joyfully, building community. But here's the truth. No one gets to 100 without weathering storms. What sets the longest-lived apart isn't perfection. It's their ability to find grace in the mess, meaning in the losses, and even humor in the aches and pains. Think about Giovanni splitting firewood at 104. Some mornings, his arthritis flares up. Does he push through? No, he laughs. I sit down, yell at my knees, and let the wood wait. Tomorrow's another day. That's the magic. Centenarians don't waste energy fighting what they can't change. They adapt. They pivot. They bloom where they're planted, even if the soil isn't perfect. This isn't about giving up. It's about letting go. Letting go of the myth that aging means decline. Letting go of guilt over yesterday's choices. Letting go of the need to control every little thing. Because here's what happens when you do. You make space for wonder, for naps in rocking chairs, for knitting hats you never planned to knit, for grandkids who teach you as much as you teach them. Now, let's tie this all together. Over these 4 parts, we've explored 7 simple, timeless habits. Eating with the seasons. Moving with purpose, not punishment. Nurturing your tribe. Cultivating a why. Resting as deeply as you work. Choosing joy over worry. Embracing life's imperfections. But really, it all boils down to this. Live like that tree. Bend when you need to. Grow where you can. And keep blooming, season after season, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. I want to leave you with a challenge. Not a to-do list, but a to-be list. This week, pick one tiny thing from what we've discussed. Maybe swap that frozen dinner for a simple roasted vegetable. Call a friend you've been missing. Or try sitting still for 5 minutes, just listening to the world hum. Don't worry about doing it right. Just do it your way. And if you forget, if you have a day where the couch wins, or the worries creep in, be like Lilia. Laugh at the storm. Whisper, I'm still here. And try again tomorrow. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. What habit resonated most? Have you tried something new that's brought you joy? Share your stories in the comments. This isn't just my journey. It's ours. Let's learn from each other. If this video inspired you, pass it along to someone who might need it. Hit that like button if you're ready to embrace your inner centenarian. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got plenty more conversations like this coming your way. So here's to you, to your strength, your resilience, your laughter, and your endless capacity to bloom. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. Now go out there and live like every day is a fresh spring morning. Until next time, friends, keep growing.